War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to Wednesday night, which has always been, from the dawn of time, Auburn family night. Our live stream each and every week when it's a normal schedule, not the holidays, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about in the Auburn family spectrum. Chances are that it will be very heavy on the sports here on this channel, as it always is. But if it's orange and blue, it's what we might get into. So that is what's on the table for tonight, our regular Wednesday night scheduled family live stream. What that means is we will dictate the content of what we discuss here, what we get into. When I say we, it's you guys. You guys dictate what we do. The topics, the conversations, the calls. The calls are back. We are going to do all of that tonight. So as you come into the live stream tonight, do a couple favors for me. A lot of you know the drill already, but if you're your first time here, here's what we need you to do right now. All together in unison, smash the like button. Whether you are watching here on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on Twitter, wherever you got here some kind of weird way, I don't know how, however you hear, smash the like button, the retweet button, the share button, all that stuff. Let people know that you are here with us and being part of our stream tonight. It is a huge help to do that for us if you can. And we will obviously say hello to you as you check in tonight. The other thing that you could do for us is use this as your check-in period to post where you're watching from, city, state, international, all of that stuff. Let us know where you're calling in from or watching from this evening. I'm checking in from the not the mobile broadcast studio, E2C Network Central, which is actually very warm here, folks. We've got a nice little warm, almost muggy spell coming through the southeast right now. Believe it or not, I still have Christmas lights outside that I'm trying to get down. So I was out there kind of sweating a little bit. That's probably why I'm a little bit warm, but it's a little bit muggy inside the house and all that kind of stuff. I've been wearing, long socks and stuff. And now it's starting to feel like that weird time period for southern winters where we go from up and down, all that. But anyway, enough of the weather talk. Just something that I noticed as I was kind of sitting here. I was like, I feel really, really warm. Got a lot of good people already checking in here and hanging out with us. We got Brian, Devin's here, Thomas, Tom on Facebook, Rob, good to see you back in the saddle a lot, sir. I didn't realize that you were kind of out of it for a little while there. We were kind of off our regular schedule too, but Unbeaten Lake, good to see you so far. Sounds like possible tornadoes again tomorrow. Just a normal day in the South. I didn't know that was coming, so great. Yeah, my house has survived thus far, so I'm hoping that's going to continue going on throughout the rest of this time of this crazy winter so far. Poland for 16 days. My goodness, sir. That does not sound fun. That does not sound fun. All right, so what we're going to do, I'll open up the phone lines for you all. Anybody that wants to take advantage of it, it is listed in the top of the chat. There's no restrictions on it. If you want to call in, take advantage of that tonight. So it is open right now. You can be on camera. You can be off of camera. It doesn't matter when you do it, how you do it. We just want to say hello to you. And you can just stay in the chat and hang out. But I'd love to see some of your smiling faces or hear some of your wonderful voices tonight. Thomas says, holy offensive line, Batman. Yes. Isn't it nice that we are finally getting a fresh start at offensive linemen? Now, we've detailed a lot of that throughout a lot of our, videos about the different commits and transfers that have come in. I was thinking, it depends on how much we talk about it tonight. And I'm not going to hold back too much for you just for the sake of doing another live stream. But most of you know that we've been doing these almost regular 8:30 Eastern time morning shows and trying to have just a little shorter topics for you guys to have to consume throughout the day. And that was one of them that I was considering, but it's not necessarily have to be that. But wow, what a great haul of offensive lineman transfers. It really looks like we have pieced together on paper something that could get us over the hump till we get this new cycle of guys started and ready to go behind it, and maybe even give them opportunity to start playing this year too. We don't know how this is all going to shake out. Right now, what we know is it looks pretty good, right? Kyle, does Auburn have a good wrestling team? Are you asking in a funny way or are you asking seriously? Because if you're asking seriously, they haven't had a wrestling team in a long time. Title IX killed that, is my understanding. I shouldn't say that definitively. But yeah, it was one of the casualties, I believe, of when Title IX came into effect. They had to drop a program in lieu of a certain number aspects. I don't know the ins and outs of all of that, but we used to have a pretty good wrestling program from what I understand. I'm sure we have a club team. We've got a club team basically for everything, lacrosse, water polo, rugby, anything and everything. There's a club team at Auburn, and they do compete like basically in the Southeastern Conference. Other Southeastern Conference teams have that type of, or they have like the Southern Conference or something like that. Hockey has got a unique situation where they have like the South Conference, but there's some teams that aren't in the South that play in part of it just so they can be in the league. It's kind of weird. Rob, it depends on who you look at for where we rank in the portal numbers. My understanding is that on 3, as of yesterday, with the addition of Avery Jones, barring changes today with other people losing or gaining people, we were sitting at number 3. I think in 247, I think we were sitting like 5 or something like that. I don't pay attention to that stuff too much. So you're kind of barking up the wrong tree here. Not that I'm saying it's not important to you. I'm just saying, that's not really what I focus on. Devin's looking forward to seeing the linemen perform and develop. So that's the key piece right here is develop, right? And that's going to take some time. Now, here's the trick about this. You're going to have to be patient. We're all going to have to be patient because in theory, there's enough transfers coming in with 1 year of eligibility, 2 years of eligibility, not a long time to sit here and develop themselves outside of, kind of taking that next step towards maybe playing in the NFL. But you will have to wait probably 2 seasons before you really see if that development took place. And that was one of my biggest problems with this, whether to move on from Harsin or not. I'm not opening that door. But what I'm saying is one of the arguments, probably the only argument, is that you were setting yourself back in development for the people that were already here. And most people's argument to that would be, well, there wasn't anybody. You don't know that. But anyway, not going to go down that road tonight. Been reading up on it. Did O-line coach Jake Thornton get what we need? I forget that you weren't here to cover all this. Yes, we got plenty. We have 8 offensive linemen. 4 of those would be offensive tackles, and the other 4 would be interior offensive linemen. You count names like Jeremiah Wright, Tate Johnson, Jaleel no, I think he's left now. I can't remember. There's about 3, maybe 4 prominent names that are still left from transfers out and seniors graduating. So we got what we needed and we've kept what we needed, I believe. So you were actually wondering about the wrestling team. Yeah, that's all I know is that it used to be pretty prominent at Auburn. That's a great question for Clint Richardson. I don't know what he's doing tonight, but by the way, not to tease you guys a little bit, but we are hoping to do not just one, but a couple of live streams / maybe edited video podcast for you guys coming up soon-ish. I've talked with him about some things that he's doing. If some of y'all have seen that he did the helmet concepts article that's done really well and got a lot of interest with it. Something around that, but also some other things that he's planned as well too. He's my Auburn aesthetics guy, my Auburn history guy. Y'all don't know the things that are, if I had a whiteboard back here, things that would be written on this whiteboard, ideas, concepts, things that we want to do. Devin is excited about the gymnastics meet. I got even more excited about it after listening to Andy Burchin's conversation with Coach Jeff Graba today. I think the podcast dropped yesterday, but I listened to it this morning. The weekly updates he does in season with all of the coaches. And, when you listen to the perspective that he puts on that first meet at the Super 16, where we finished 3rd in our group, but, we had the highest opening meet score of our programs thus far, and we still were 3rd in that group, which was probably the best group. That tells you that we're not even at mid-season form yet because it's the beginning of the season. So So I think some people walked away a little bit discouraged by the meet on Friday. Just wait. Now it's not going to get easier we're number 3, I believe, and we're going to number 2. No, we're number 4. Yes, that sounds right. Going to number 2, Florida. They do have a club hockey team. I've actually had conversations with somebody who manages that about doing some stuff here in the network. And as you guys have seen lately, and as is normally the case, time is just a factor for me when I'm the main person doing this. So I have dreams and goals for doing a lot of things for you guys, but we'll see what I have time for. Rob must have gotten a new recruit for us, Yahtzee, as Coach Freeze has started doing. How do we feel about the Yahtzee thing? Like as the signal that something good happened, a recruit, a commit happened. I mean, it's fine. I don't have any problems with it, but it's just, it's going to take some getting used to with Gus doing the booms. And I loved how Gus, and he still does it at UCF, I believe, where he'll, if it's the first one, he'll do 1 O or the regular number of O's in a boom, and then he'll add one subsequently for each one after that, for each commit or recruit that they have in that. I love that. I think that's really, really thing. And the Yahtzee thing, I'm still getting used to. Let's see here. How does Bruce find all these shot blockers we've ranked in the top 5 for block shots like the last 5 years? We've got another guy coming in 2024 who's 7 foot, 310 pounds. Yeah, Peyton Marshall, who plays not too far from where I am. I've taught, and Neil, if he's watching, I don't know if he's on right now. He's even suggested we need to go together. We've never met in person, but we need to go together to watch him this season or the next. I believe he'll not forgo his senior year, which I don't think is possible for him, and come into the college ranks early, but you never know, right? So part of the thing is, it's not that he's finding them, yes, but he's also developing them. Think about it. Dylan Cardwell, who's a pretty good shot blocker too, has been in the system now for 3 years. Yes, 3 years, and has developed into that nicely. So it's finding guys with that rare talent, those diamonds in the rough, and then developing them, right? I hate that word. It's overused. It's one of those buzzwords in sports and collegiate athletics, and but it's the reality too. So he's finding the diamonds in the rough and turning them into these copycats. Now you find your Walker Kesslers. Yeah, wow. Janai Broom, it's not like he went out there and found another diamond in the rough. We all knew what we were getting in Janai Broom, and he's just continuing what he was already doing at Morehead State. When the recruiting finger isn't here, it's amazing how many recruits we got. Can we all just laugh about that now? Remember how hyped we were about the recruiting finger? Like the t-shirts that were made about it. I mean, I think people were talking about naming their podcast. Let me just remind, if you're starting an Auburn podcast, make sure it's something, the name, the concept will last past whatever the thing Auburn is that you're talking about. Like, it can last the test of time. We have a show still called No Huddle, and that was one of our first breakout shows ever, obviously in the vein of Gus Malzahn, but we kind of kept it because every year I ask the guys, they can, do what they want with the show to some degree. Those are volunteers who have their own shows. And I asked them, do you want to do anything, change the names? And the No Huddle guys have said, no, we're fine with it. I mean, it's just a concept of football. We're good with it, keeping it the same, but I might push them to this year, even though we kind of have gone back to somewhat of a hurry up type of offense, I believe. Thomas says we have 18 total offensive linemen. Have you done the math, sir? Have you gone over there and looked? I trust you. You're our research guy, so I trust your judgment on that. The fans started the recruiting finger. Let's be real. Sure, Harsin was doing it, but it was the fans who made it a huge deal that it was. I mean, it's just like that. And so Yahtzee hasn't taken off that way, but I'm sure that us and the rest of the fan base are happy that we are not celebrating a slogan and just celebrating filling the spaces that we need to fill at this point. Last coaching staff, the last staff was like a self-imposed probation. I'm going to say something really unpopular here, and I don't know that this is the forum for me to do it, since we kind of want to bounce to a bunch of different topics and not just kind of sit on one thing the entire time. But there's a discussion point in this whole Harsin can't recruit thing that's either being ignored, people are ignorant to, that kind of is in his favor to some degree, but not that much. Like, this wouldn't save his job, but at the same point, there's some context that's lacking out of this. Well, Hugh Freeze is recruiting much better than Harsin. Well, duh. I mean, there's so many spaces to fill. But at the same time, like, I know when I start going that road, it already kind of makes some of y'all mad that I'd have the audacity to see the other side of the coin, but it's what I do. All right, I'm getting a little behind in chat. He wants the chrome helmets. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll get him on here as soon as we have some. I'm really behind in the chat. All right, so I'm going to scoot far ahead real quick. And if you had something that you wanted me to hit that I scooped over, just bring it back up to the front. And don't be afraid to call in if you want to tonight. TJ Finley, I'm back. I am shooketh. I did not see that coming. I'm also not surprised because I didn't know what type of options he was going to have. How about this? I'm probably more shocked personally that Zach Calzada is going to, I was going to say Sacred Heart, but it's not that. It's a hospital from a TV show. Incarnate Word. That's what it is. Thank you. I had it in my head there. Incarnate Word. I'm more shocked that Zach Calzada is going there than TJ Finley staying. I thought Zach Calzada would have stayed at the FBS level at Wyoming or something like that and not gone that he must have some connection there to go to a place like that. It's really, really interesting. But hey, you know what? There's enough evidence that Harsin. See, I think you're kind of taking what I was discussing there and kind of that's why I said it's probably even not good for me to bring it up, because there's an argument there that needs a long time discussing that we're going to probably not need tonight. Yes, there is evidence that Harsin was not a good recruiter, and I agree with that evidence based off of that alone. But there's also a part of the argument that's being, like I said, ignored, and people aren't privy to in terms of numbers, what was available spacing wise to be brought in, scholarship wise, and limitations there as well. Doesn't excuse some other things, but it is a part of the argument that's missing, though. I believe Finley can be better under the new offensive line. I really do believe it. Listen, anybody can be better under a more improved offensive line at this rate. It was really, 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 really bad. And I hate it because, I for those of you who've been here for a while, you'll know I hate talking bad about our players and even say anything slightly negative about them, just because they're the ones that are putting the work. They're the ones that know that they've messed up, all that kind of stuff. That no amount of me saying that's going to mess that up or expound that anymore. So, yes, anybody can do a little bit better under a just completely refreshed offensive line. Robbie can too, but we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, we've got Robbie now, Hank Brown, Holden Gardner, TJ back, and maybe, I don't know if there's going to be anything in the transfer portal. All right, I've got two people lined up in the call right now. I'm going to bring them in order, so just sit tight as you wait for your turn there, and we'll get everybody in as soon as we can. If you guys want to call in, use that link too, and we'll get you in as soon as we can too, and we'll get back to comments and questions as appropriate. Let's say hello to our first caller tonight. He's Mr. Positivity, Mr. Kevin. How you doing, sir?
War Eagle, how about those men's basketball team?
How about them? What a turnaround, right? After that Georgia game, we were rough looking, weren't we? Literally rough looking.
Hey, I heard TJ Finley will be back at Auburn next season.
Yep, that's what we were just talking about. Somebody just brought that up and said that it seems like he's been part of winter workouts, which is a good sign, right? That means you're enrolled, all that kind of stuff. The logistics of being part of the program are still there. Will it last? My guess is if he finds a better situation, he'll probably go off into the sunset. But for now, he's still an Auburn Tiger. So happy to have him and contribute any way he can.
I can't wait. What's that running back from South Florida?
Yes, Brian, I think it's Beatty is how you say it, or Batty, Beatty. Yeah, that was a shock to me to see us bring in someone like that. Yes, he's been at South Florida, not a Power 5 program, but still, it's a 1,000-yard rusher. And he's got a lot of experience too.
How many years he got?
I believe he is in his senior year. I just did the discussion about him too. So it would be a kind of a 1-year situation, because I believe the same day it was, if I remember correctly, Beatty and then Nick Mardner came in on the same day. They both are kind of situational guys where you put them in for a year and they're getting ready to go to the next level.
Nick be good.
His size really seems like he'll find a way to be utilized, right? 6'6". I don't know how you don't put that guy on the field and just throw it up there to him, let him stick his paws up in the air and go get it, especially in the back of the end zone. That's what I foresee, Kevin, is Nick Mardner catching touchdown passes from whoever in the back of the end zone. That's what I want to see.
Do we still got Tavares Dawson?
I think Dawson. I actually just looked at our portal people that were there and didn't go anywhere yet. I think people are probably going to correct me in the chat, but I believe he is still not back.
He's staying at Auburn.
Is he? I cannot remember.
And I heard Zavon Capers committed to Western Kentucky.
Yep, that is true. He's gone. I can't say that I blame him. He's been through some transition. Anybody that leaves right now it's not that I don't get mad at them or blame them, because they're trying to find the best situation. A lot of these guys have now been through their third head coach, their third complete staff. Some of them have had, think about it. If you're a wide receiver like Zevion Capers, you've gone from probably being brought in with the Gus Malzahn era and their wide receiver coach, Cornelius Williams, Eric Keesaw, Ike Hilliard, and then now you were going to have another one in Marcus Davis. That's just a lot of turnover and turmoil that I could see, like, you know what? If I'm going to have to do this again anyway, let me go find the situation that I feel most comfortable with. So I don't fault him. I just hate he didn't finish as a Tiger.
How about the defense? What they said, we got 31 commitments already.
31 commitments, and 30 in those 31 commitments, if I've got my math right in my head, hang on one second. My head's hurting. I'm having to think too much. 18 of those, I think, are defensive. We filled everything we need. The defensive front. We've got a linebacker. I'm excited about that linebacker transfer from LSU. Defensive backs, everything. We got it all, buddy. I got time for one more question. What you got?
How about field goal kicking?
Field goal kicking? Well, Evan McPherson, obviously, we're going to be good for a while with him. He didn't use up his red shirt.
That's Alex.
I'm
Evan.
sorry. Did I say Evan? I do that all the time. Listen, we got to stop recruiting all these like brothers of each other. I keep messing them up and mixing them up. So, but yes, Alex McPherson is who we have. Evan is his brother at the Bengals. So we're set with him for a while. Oscar Chapman, I believe, has got one more year after this. I think he's going to be a junior this year. So if anything, we'll be looking for a punter soon. So, all right, Kevin.
I think Robbie be the starting quarterback.
Right now, he's got the best shot at it. So I believe you're probably if you were betting money on it, you'd probably be sitting pretty good right now. But we'll wait and see what happens. And always good to hear from you, buddy.
I might see you at the A-Day game or the fan day if they have it.
Yes, sir. We will make it happen, sir. We'll see each other then, okay? All right. We'll talk to you later, Kevin. War Eagle, bye. Awesome. Good to hear from Kevin. Always one of our positivity guys here. He's always got a good word for us. Let's move on to our next caller here, and we'll get back to some comments and questions shortly. He's in the books always, teaching us things. You know him, you love him, Mr. Thomas Manville. How's it going, sir?
Good, Kyle. How are you this evening?
Good. Ready to just get back to a regular schedule of doing these Wednesday night shows. It was nice to be back. I was looking forward to this all day. because I don't have to prepare jack squat except, technical stuff and, be prepared to be on camera and stuff like that. I know that just makes me sound lazy though. So I just enjoy this one because it's just hanging out with you guys.
Hey, but buddy, you've put in enough work with the recruiting lately. You deserve a couple nights off.
I hope it didn't come across as complaining too much, but I really meant anytime I tweeted anything out or posted anything about that, I was really just doing in jest. But there were points I'd literally be like, are you kidding me? I haven't even gotten this one done yet, and you're giving me another one. So it's all good stuff. Like anytime I would joke about, like, are they ever going to stop? It was just always meant in jest. But I will tell you, they have kept me busy for a while here. It's why we did some joint live streams for some of those transfers, because I kind of got wind that we weren't done yet, as Trevon Reed would say, and knew that we were going to have to do that for sake of my sanity.
Oh, absolutely. But man, y'all know I love the offensive line. I mean, y'all know it. 18 guys on the roster, right? That's good. That's a lot of competition. Now, some guys are going to leave. Clearly.
Exactly. Thank you. Yep.
It's going to happen. But the guys that are there that are not transfers and not freshmen are Tate Johnson, Avery Jernigan, Cam Stutz, Jeremiah Wright, E.J. Harris, Court Bradley, Kobe Smith, Thomas Kirkham, Garner Langlow, and Evan Richards. So
I knew you would have that ready for me. How did I know that? You don't need to show your secret. Don't show the secret sauce. Just act like you knew it off the top of your head. I would have believed you because you say it with confidence.
Hey man, I got height and weight too of everybody.
All right. So okay, on that note, maybe I'm going to take you off track. Maybe you had planned with what you wanted to say. I think it's very easy just to look at the big measurable guys, like, who's the biggest, the tallest, all that stuff. But just in terms of like trying to pick who has the most likelihood of starting, of playing the most with their measurables, who excites you the most? And if it's still the biggest, let me, that's fine. But I'm just curious if that adds a different twist to it for you.
Jeremiah Wright, flat out. He's an absolute war daddy when it comes to the offensive line position. He's nasty. He wants to play it. And then there's two of our freshmen that are coming in after watching their highlights in that film. They're just nasty. And that's what we need to succeed in this league. I'm not worried about the size. I'm worried about how your hand placement, your footwork. Do your feet quit moving as soon as you make contact, or are you driving this man? Are you taking somebody outside or not? Are
Right.
you removing them for the premises or not? And we've got some guys that look like they can do that. And then we've got the transfers coming in. You've got Avery Jones, the new one that's a center, 6'4", 290, decent size, a little bit more weight for SEC play. Dylan Wade, 6'4", 290. He played tackle out at Tulsa, but I don't think it's big enough to play tackle in the SEC. 6'4" is a little bit short. Maybe his arms are longer. I don't know those measurables, but you got to have long arms and a really good base to play tackle in the SEC. Xavion Miller, 6'6", 320, played tackle. Prototypical size for an SEC tackle. Really excited about that. I like his hand placement. I think his feet could move a little better, but he's a giant of a human being. So
he is.
And then Gunnar Britton, 6'6", 305, prototypical SEC tackle, good reach, good feet, good hands. Derek Hall did whip him a couple of times, and so did Colby Wooden.
But who doesn't Derek Hall whip? I mean, come on, like that's like saying Godzilla whipped you. I mean,
you're right. But the guy doesn't play at SEC level week in or week out, but he's gotten a taste of it. He knows what he's in for coming to Auburn, and I'm glad he's here.
Yeah. Listen, there are so many guys that you just mentioned, transfer otherwise, that you should be excited about. And some of those, we're going to have for a year. Some of those I think we'll have for 2 years. The important thing, though, is find, and I've talked about this a lot, that I'm not the biggest fan of exploiting the transfer portal just because it is a Band-Aid that can be easily ripped off in the wrong situation. But there are times where you have to maximize it. This is that time. And so this is why you don't hear me complaining about it. You see me celebrating, because I recognize we got to have the Band-Aid. We have to stop the bleeding because we are just losing blood by the day. And all the love goes to the linemen that we've had here that have tried their hardest, and for whatever reason, it didn't work. But it's time to reapply a new bandage and stop the bleeding right now. And then we can allow some, if I'm using anatomical terms here, allow some new skin to regrow over that wound eventually. So I did not think that's how I was going to go on my comparisons tonight, but here we are.
It does happen that way sometimes, friend. It really does.
It'd be like that, though, is what the kids say, though. It'd be like that. It do be like that.
Man, the freshmen coming in excite me just as much as the transfers. And I'll give you two of them right off the bat. And I've always been high on Braden Joyner. It's he played at Auburn High School. He's an absolute stud. His athleticism, you shouldn't have that much athleticism in a guy that size, but he possesses it. And he just ruins people's day, and I love it. He's 6'1", 6'2", 330, played center, played tackle, played guard in high school. I think he could be a center for us, but he could easily be a guard. I mean, that's a threat at a short guy that's athletic, that weighs 330 and will probably get bigger. As a pulling guard in an RPO offense, you really can't ask for much more. But Connor Lew was a huge steal from Miami. 6'3", 285. They're going to put weight on him. Played center. He could be the center, could be the guard. Him and Braden Joyner are really interchangeable at that position. But same thing is when they get hands on people and then they finish the block. People are on their back. People are off the field. People are just giving up and laying down. I can't want anything else other than that in offensive lineman is when you can make the other guy not want to play anymore. I am so happy you're here. What's
right.
not to love?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are. I agree. Like somebody said earlier, the way you kind of dig into these guys and listen to you talk about them excites me even more than I already was. I think the more we talk about it here, I may drop a video tomorrow about my predicted offensive line based on what we have now. Let me ask you this, and we'll kind of use this to kind of move towards our end of our conversation, get our next caller in.
All right.
Do you think, based on, let's take rumors, message board material, all that, whatever you hear on social media out of the equation, you just look at who's here, depth chart wise. Does Auburn bring any other offensive linemen in the transfer portal? Now, obviously, now that classes have started, they won't be here till summer, all that kind of stuff. So what do you think? Anybody else? I mean, we're at 31 right now, 18 on roster. Is there anybody else you think?
Earlier, before Avery Jones, the new center from ECU, I would have said 2. But him being specifically a center, having that many games played, having a lot of experience, and again, at ECU that plays a lot of SEC teams, he's played a little bit against this competition. He knows how many guys are on the roster. I think we're probably done at O-line. I'm not mad if we bring in another one by any means. I think we're done because I think to me, he projects as our starting center. No disrespect to Tate Johnson. I just don't think the guy had enough experience getting ready for that. Now, he may improve and I could eat crow, and I'm willing to do that. But I think Jeremiah Wright's probably a starting guard. I think Dylan Wade will move inside, be another guard. They'll beef him up. I think Xavier Miller and Gunnar Britton are probably going to be your tackles. I'd say Miller at left tackle. He's protecting Robbie's blind side. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit rangier. And Gunnar Britton had a little bit more trouble with edge guys, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen. But I think he'll project as your right tackle. He's got good size. He does very well in pass blocking. His run blocking could improve, but we'll just have to see because we still have how many other guys that are still here. But I think Jeremiah Wright is going to lead the charge and just be the war daddy that we need. And I think we're going to be nasty.
Yeah, I like what you said about Jeremiah Wright because we're going to need somebody. And look, you got these transfers coming in with a lot of experience, and one of them can just say, you know what, I'm going to be the leader and control the room and kind of lead by example, vocally, all that kind of stuff. But I'd love to see a guy like Jeremiah Wright become that because he's been through so much, switching back and forth on positions. finding his role and where he was excelling at in this season, even in a terrible season. It would be nice to see an Auburn guy that's been here take control of that room, even with some upperclassmen coming in as transfers and still kind of making it his, taking ownership of it. The way Derek Hall took ownership of the edge of the defensive line to some degree, the way that Roger McCreary, that Nehemiah Pritchett currently takes control of, the defensive backs or the cornerbacks at least. So that's what I'm hoping for. We got a lot to look forward to, and obviously super excited to talk about it more with you in the future, sir.
Absolutely, guys. Y'all have a good night. Brett Bielema was a fool.
Yeah, he is, buddy. All right, talk to you later, man.
Y'all have a good night. War Eagle.
Right, War Eagle. All right. Always good to hear from Thomas. We got our next call. We'll bring in just a second. I meant to see, I'm out of practice, guys. I should have had this up all along. I want to remind you that these shows are always brought to you by our friends at All Things Auburn. You've seen it down in the ticker down there, but I want to bring their logo up to remind you, allthingsauburn.net. That's the people that you want to meet, not just for a place to stay at Auburn. They operate out of the Auburn Game Day Center right there behind Mama Goldberg's on Magnolia and wow, am I blanking? Donahue, thank you. But you want to talk to them about a place to stay, but a place to have a full and complete Auburn experience. Miss Tanya will hook you up there. Allthingsauburn.net. All right, let's talk to our next caller here. You know him and you love him too, Mr. Dusty. How's it going, sir?
Evening, buddy. How you doing?
Doing well. Just happy to be back in the saddle, talking to so many smiling faces tonight.
Yeah, you've been a busy guy lately.
Yeah, I guess I've been doing a few things.
I
wouldn't do it if I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. Love that shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I'm one of the 30, 40 I got probably. Tell Rob to quit playing.
What's Rob doing? What's he doing? TJ named it. Oh, this one? This one right here?
Yeah. So isn't that just him trying to earn his degree, right? He's just trying to graduate in March because he's already used his transfer.
I guess I was, like I said, I'm still more shocked about the Zach Cowles. I don't know if you were here for this, but going to the Incarnate Word, and not that I'm shocked he was leaving, but that he went to the Incarnate Word, than I am TJ staying. Because I asked the question, no offense to TJ, but like, what was the best situation for him right now? The best situation is probably stay on, the team and kind of help out where you can, get your degree, and then figure out from there. I mean, because my heart for these kids is always what's best for them ultimately in their future, whether that means football or not. And I think a guy who's just been bouncing around at this point, just be the best teammate that you can. And, you never know what happens. I think a lot of us, as much as we were hyped about Robbie Ashford, I think we all kind of were thinking TJ and Zach were the guys, and look what happened. Robbie ended up being the guy all season, basically.
Yeah, we definitely went with Zach because of some Twitter videos.
Yeah, that one. That don't even remind me of that. I got criticized for asking. It's so funny when you ask the question that nobody wants to ask, or what's the word?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Bring it to the forefront. Let's just ask the question that nobody wants to ask. Is this real? And look, he looked great on those Twitter videos and things like that, but that's just in no context situation. And we don't even know how good he would have been, right? He never healed up enough to come out there and fully compete is what the word is, and what we know about the situation, what you could know about the situation. So, we'll never know if those Twitter videos were legit, but boy, we all did get hyped about them, didn't we?
Yeah, we're desperate. We're desperate for good times. But I think that just looking at how this has all been handled since Hugh Freeze has been hired, I think that we can all feel pretty confident things are coming. I wanted to talk some basketball, but everybody's talking recruiting, and I can't not talk a little bit recruiting. Right. Good stuff as always from Thomas talking O-line. And one thing I want to bring in there about Connor Lew is the thing that I love most about the Avery Jones pickup is he's got 1 year of eligibility. So now with the redshirt rule, we can play Lew for 4 games.
Yep.
Let him beef up, get his experience,
yep.
And then he's ready to go next year because we were already talking about him possibly being the starter as a freshman.
Right.
So now he has a year to sit, learn, get a little bit bigger, and then come in as a redshirt freshman with 3-4 years and our center spot being locked up.
Right.
It's that's that again just because the position we got in with a guy like Brahms, and then there's just he can't play, and now we're scrambling for a backup plan, and
Right.
that happened all across our offensive line for the past 5 or 6 years. So when you see it start coming together, and you say, okay, this is where Britton's going to be, because Britton, that's such a huge get. Everyone after a guy like that. The thing that's crazy to me, Kyle, is think about this, buddy. We've talked for a year and a half now, and everyone's main concern. What if you got asked by Auburn Jesus, what is one thing y'all want me to fix? Everyone would have said offensive line.
Yeah.
Right now, that's no longer my main position group that I'm concerned with.
Right.
Now, if you ask me, I would say linebackers and maybe throw in a couple more D-line. I feel better about D-line with the depth that's been added over the last week, because these guys are depth pieces that played at Purdue and Maryland. I mean, that's good depth pieces, man. When you add a guy that's going to be in your rotation, that's already got Power 5 experience,
right?
That's pretty solid stuff. And then those guys aren't slouches. Darren Reed is not a slouch, a freshman coming in.
Oh, did you watch the All-America Bowl game a little bit and see that he laid the wood on that quarterback? I mean, frankly, he was on the team that was having all the success, but that poor quarterback, when Darren Reed came through, I think it was like the mid-third quarter, I was like, you saw the announcers just switch to the old thing of calling him from Alabama, and they did correct. And I was like, come on now. Not just because you see Auburn on there doesn't mean it's Alabama. So I'm tired of that misconception happening, but happy they corrected. And boy, does Darren Reed. I mean, again, it's one highlight at a high school bowl game. So let's not do Zach Calzada again. But hey, for all intents and purposes, for a guy coming out of high school, he looks pretty solid.
And me and you both agree that rankings aren't everything. But I'll often make the point, kind of look at it in groups. Because if you go back and you look at recruiting rankings and then how a team plays, there is some correlation there.
Yes, there is a correlation. Yeah, I agree.
Right. So, but my thing is, like, I always say, don't nitpick between 7th and 3rd, right? Like, well, they finished 3rd and we finished 7th. It's okay, man. And at that point, what is that? Now, but from 60th to 15th?
Yes.
Big
difference. That's a big honking difference right there. That's the difference between Power 5 and non-Power 5. I mean, it really is, because even the mid parts of some of these Power 5 schools are recruiting inside of that.
Right.
Auburn, most years, most situation should be inside the top 20. I think Auburn has shown the ability to be regularly at the top 10, if not in it, when it's got things rolling, things are stable. Stability will play a lot into that. This sustained success that you see happening with Alabama, with Georgia, with Ohio State is because of stability. I mean, even going through their transition from Urban Meyer to Ryan Day, it was just promote a guy. So that provides stability in and of itself, even during tumultuous time. Auburn has not had that. They have fired one guy, went through a weird 2 years with this guy, and then have done it all over again. So there's no stability to maintain that right now, but it's coming. Like you said, we're less worried about the things that we've been worried about for quite some time. Boy, is it nice to not be so worried. Let me bring this up because you did want to mention this. Apparently, well, no, where to go? I missed it over here. You may have seen it. UGA just beat Mississippi State. I don't know if that's real, if Rob's messing with us, but I think he's
probably not. It was a close game a minute ago. And Bama's up 51-49 with 11 minutes left.
Oh, and that's the Arkansas match, and that's in Fayetteville, right?
Yeah, it's in Fayetteville.
Well, that's interesting. So does that, in light of that, since you wanted to talk some basketball, does that change your mind any or make you feel any better about the UGA loss now that we've seen them do more than just win in a non-conference and then beat us? It seems like they might need to be somewhat respected, but not considered back yet.
I never do this, so shameless plug. You can follow me on Southern Sports Daily, and that's where that's my new podcast channel, YouTube and all that. And then also I do the Up Tempo podcast, which I've been doing for about a year now.
Right.
And my reaction on the Up Tempo, the title of the show was "Don't Freak Out."
Right.
After the Georgia game, because I saw people talking about panic and all this kind of stuff. And listen, And here's the thing, Kyle. We're going to have more nights like that Georgia night. We'll have 2, 3, maybe 4 more of them.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be bad losses that are going to come. If you want to understand how hard it is to win on the road in this league, just turn it on and watch.
Right.
Take off your Auburn goggles and just watch the other teams. It's tough, man. And this league, you see it. It's called Kentucky. This is no longer going to be the Kentucky Invitational. That's done.
Right.
The LSU, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, there are so many programs that have decided we're going to get serious about this now. We're going to focus on this financially and with our resources. We're going to go after this now. And you see it. That gap is closed, and we're all right there with Kentucky. Arkansas as well is in that group, and they're a pretty traditional team anyway. But here's the thing I want to point about Alabama. I hope they win tonight because
now I'm taking your Auburn card away from you. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
listen,
I know. I know where you're going. I'm just kidding with you.
Where were we at last year? We ran through the regular season super hot. Would you rather be Alabama right now and be super hot in the top 5, winning all these games, or would you rather be 2019 Auburn and flip that switch?
Flip the switch, yeah.
This team's got all potential in the world, and here's the main thing for me, Kyle. 20 or 70 points, 70 to 75 points, and under 12 turnovers.
Yeah.
If this team does that, it's just very hard to beat us because the defense is going to be there. You're just gonna have a hard time. Look, we out of nowhere just dropping the zone versus Arkansas. Like Bruce is he's the best defensive coach that I see night in and night out in the SEC.
Yeah.
He has his weaknesses like anybody else does. But even though these last couple of games, I've seen more sets in half court. I love dumping the ball down to Janai and letting him cook. Mm-hmm. And everyone knows because it's 3 performances in a row. So now I'm starting to get optimistic. If we get this flan, the ceiling for this team raises up.
Oh, baby, does that. Well, and see, that's what we've been talking about a lot of times on the post-game stream. What happens, and a lot of times I was talking about KD, because KD's the one that we know has in the past been able to score, but he's struggling hard right now in terms of offensive statistics contributing that way. He's doing a lot of other good things, and Bruce will tell you that if you listen to him. But what happens when KD Johnson, and what happens if Flan keeps this going? Yeah. That's a team that I don't want to run into. That's already a solid defense. It's already shown you now, okay, we were struggling this way defensively. Let's make a shift, and we're still going to be good defensively. We're taking care of the ball a little bit better. I went back this morning just out of curiosity and looked at the last, I think it was like 5 games. And so you went back to that West Coast trip, saw how high the turnovers were, at least in those 2 games, and I think one more game correlating with that, and then how it's kind of gone down over time. And yes, the UJ game, actually, we had, I think, only 10 turnovers in that. If I'm thinking about that right. There were some other issues going on there, but you've seen
28 threes, though.
Right, exactly. So, you've just seen it go down, and as it's gone down, you've seen the success raise up a little bit. So lots of things to be excited about with that basketball team, man. So don't panic. I agree with you. There were a lot of, you can tell, and I say this with all the love that I can, to the general Auburn family, those of you that may apply to in this. Some of y'all have never been through hard times with the basketball team. I have. I've seen the low of the lows. It's not pretty down there, and we ain't anywhere near that. So, saddle up. It's going to be all right. We're going to have some bumpy roads every now and again. Every year can't be a magical run. Every year you can't have a Jabari Smith. You're going to have to figure out how to, in each unique situation, be the best you can be, because the dynamics, especially in the age of the transfer portal and NIL, are so much different now.
Yeah, and look, good thing is it kind of hidden last night. It was only 9 minutes, but that was the best 9 minutes that we've got out of Johan probably all season. He didn't score a lot of points or anything, but he just looked like he belonged. Yep. And I don't know how long the Chris Moore injury is going to be. Has there been any word on that? I've looked, I haven't seen anything.
No, Bruce didn't expound on it, and I should have asked my wife. Actually, she's a nurse, so she would be able to tell me about separating your shoulder. To me, from what I recall, when you do that, it's very sore after it, but it is something that you can work back into. I won't say quickly, but like what I was predicting was we would see him limited, if any, if needed, in the Mississippi State game at home, and maybe start seeing him work back into his normal routine in the game after that. I wasn't anticipating the next game, regardless of what it was.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no need to. We're not in any kind of situation where you have to rush anybody. And
Reward
the way Flan's
Flan.
playing,
Yeah, reward him.
So maybe just some more minutes to Chance. I mean, Bruce knows more than us. Like, Chance hasn't been playing. Me and you talked about this the other day, but like, maybe you get a chance to give him 7, 8, 9 minutes just so we can try to find something. Because I mean, it's just at some point, it's like we got to get something from those two freshmen, right?
Yeah, no, and you've seen this happen this season earlier. Like Lior wasn't getting any minutes, and then finally someone got hurt and gave him an opportunity, and he took advantage of it. So now Bruce has to find him at least something to come out there and do every time because he deserves it. So
he played good defense last night too.
Oh yeah, yeah. They you can tell when he comes on the court, they underestimate him in all aspects of the game, and then they're like, "Oh wow, this kid can actually play." Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not the best out there. He knows it, but he's a good basketball player. And when he comes on the floor, I don't go, "Oh Lord, here we go. Here's so and so." I go, "Okay, well, I'm kind of excited to see if this boy can pop one off here. Let's see it," because that if we're in Neville Arena and Lior Berman drops one, boy, and it's a little bit different than when like a walk-on or somebody drops one, right? Because that's in garbage time where we're winning bigger anyway. This is Lior Berman, who doesn't get to do it a whole lot, but we know he can. And when he comes in real time and drops one on somebody, that's when the place explodes, because we love watching Berman. So anyway,
yeah, and you think the home streak comes to an end this year, huh? Just based off numbers.
Give me a second. Get your final thoughts, and I'm gonna go look at something.
Final thoughts, Rob. Where the steak tacos? Where are you at, brother?
That's all I'm talking about. That name.
Where are you at, buddy? I would love some steak tacos. I still haven't ate. I had a long day. No, it's just I'm excited for where this team's going. For Flan, like on a personal level for him, obviously for Auburn, we won't need him to play well. I hope he can really put together some strong performances and maybe get a look in the draft. I mean, he's kind of out of being a first round pick at this point, but he can still get drafted. He can still get a look in the camp or the G League. I think he still has a chance to play his way into that. So I'm pulling for that. And then my big takeaway from last night was Wynn had a bad first half, and he's been a streaky guy. So for him to come in the second half and, get it right, he had 7 assists, and he did a little bit. That was the best defense I've seen Wynn play in a long time.
Right.
If he can take that leadership role, you got Flan playing the way that Flan's been playing. Janai's been solid all year. He seems to have stepped it up. He eliminated Castleton. He just eliminated Castleton versus Florida. He's got a little bit of something that Walker didn't, I'm not saying he's as good as Walker, but there's a little bit of extra stuff there. So I'm excited for where this team's going. Ole Miss is a very tough place for us to play. So it has been historically. It's all up, and then 30-something days till baseball, man. And we got recruiting, transfer portal. Auburn's just, as Gus used to say.
Don't break up my boy Gus. All right, you gonna maybe tear up a little. All right, I'm gonna answer your question. All right, I just did a quick scan of the schedule. Do I dare say it, Dusty?
Because I worry about it for sure.
Dusty, There's one game that has me worried. Yeah. Which one do you think it is?
Are they up 62-50 on Arkansas right now?
No. Look at that back half.
Can't be LSU.
Nope.
I don't know. I don't have to schedule Oh, they do come. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll be there, so I'll try my best.
So, listen, the by probabilities, yes, they're going to probably drop this home win streak this year. But with that being said, I just did a quick scan of it, and probably too quick of a scan, but I think we have a high chance of holding on to it. There's the Alabama game, the Tennessee game that kind of look a little scary. I think I'm a little bit more about the Tennessee game. I'm a little bit more scared about. So we'll wait and see. Listen, if you take the loss at home. Yeah, it's a record that's gone, but hey, there are much bigger fish to fry than records, and we're breaking too many of them these days. Not too many of them. We're breaking enough of them these days that we'll do it again some point. So
we ain't
anyway,
Kentucky.
man. We ain't Kentucky. Yeah. All right, man. Well, good to hear from you tonight. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. Appreciate your comment, Devin. Love all y'all. War Eagle.
War Eagle, buddy. All righty. There we go. All right. So we're sitting at about 5 minutes to 9. Did that backwards. Normally I try to wrap up around them, but if you guys have some more comments and questions, go ahead and get those in now. We will stay on for a little bit as long as you guys want to talk about a few things here. If there is anybody else that would like to call tonight, I'll leave the phone line open for a few more minutes and see if we get anybody in. So don't be shy if you want to. But let me go ahead and do this part of it. You guys, I got a plug. That's the whole point of how we do all these things. I don't have a graphic ready for you tonight. Just want to remind you of our next scheduled live stream. Officially would be a post-game show this Saturday after the Mississippi State game. It'll be late, I think 10:30 Eastern time is what it'll be, roughly. Join us if you can. I know you got a lot of options for post-game shows these days. I appreciate you guys stopping by here. Plan is tomorrow morning to do a live stream about a shorter topic, so don't miss that. I don't have it posted officially yet because I'm still kind of feeling out if I want to do this. But if you guys continue to show up, whether that's live, I hope we can do it live, but if on the replay, if you guys want those morning shows, continue to show me the numbers that I'm seeing right now, and I'll do it. I've always told you guys, this is, as much as it is a channel created by me or a network created by me and those that are able to help me, the volunteers that I have, this is your network. If you want something, show me you want it. And you guys are showing that right now with the morning show. So if you continue to do that, smash the like button on those videos, leave comments and stuff. We'll keep those comments. So that's the schedule right now. Post-game show on Saturday, probably a Thursday and Friday, 8:30 topical live stream in the mornings for you guys. Other things to keep in mind is being a subscriber to be part of that giveaway. Check out those links in the description to be a channel member, to be a Booster Club member. Do that. It'll help keep the lights on. If you don't want to do any of those things, there's some other things like PayPal, link descriptions, all that kind of stuff. Check that out. But the biggest thing is smashing the like button while you are here. All right, let's get to some more comments and questions. We will close down the phone line at 9 o'clock. So if you're wanting to get in, do it by then. Until then, we'll look at some of these comments and questions. Devin said earlier, I just don't think anyone can touch us at home. The jungle is too fierce. That's kind of what I'm getting at right now. There are some challenging games at home, but there are a lot more challenging games on the road this year. I think some people are worried about South Carolina. What I'm finding out, and not necessarily that this is a revelation or anything like that, but that yet again, the SEC seems to be stepping up its game as a whole, and it's getting even more challenging. As Dusty kind of talked about, this is no longer the Kentucky Invitational. It's been heading that direction for quite some time now. But you've got a lot of teams that are stepping up at the mid-tier. It's been Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, and Arkansas's world for a few seasons now, with Alabama kind of coming in and then going out, coming in and going out. And then you've got like Mississippi State, Ole Miss traditionally, but not so much this year, it looks like so far. South Carolina is making then the point would be teams like South Carolina, Georgia that have been down are doing things they shouldn't be able to do. So it's a tough room this year in the SEC. Between LSU and South Carolina, which one are you more worried about? That's a tough one. If Frank Martin was at South Carolina, I'd be super worried about South Carolina. More worried. Will Wade's not there. That's the problem, is they've lost the thing that I feared about them. LSU just brings in talent, even though we stole some of their talent this year. That's a tough one, Devin. It's a good question. I don't know. My gut would say LSU, but yeah, I don't know. Auburn will have another year to where they'll win the SEC championship without playing in the championship. Are you talking about the tournament? Well, I mean, you win the regular season and then the tournament championship. Scoot Henderson is projected a top 3 pick. He was extremely close to coming to Auburn. Jalen Green falls in that category too, who was in the G League and I think now in the NBA, right? So many, Akaminga, I think is what his name was. So many names, Greg Brown, that have been this close to coming to Auburn that are now doing big things or did big things at other colleges. Auburn's in the mix for a lot of big names these days. Auburn's due for an undefeated football season. Well, I think every team could say that. I'm just not ready to say that we're going to do that just quite yet. But we all are feeling good right now, right? Glad you are enjoying those live streams. Like I said, it will be something we do as long as I continue to see those numbers. And I hate to just be forward about that, but that's kind of what this is all about. I try to tailor some things to what people want and show up for. We try to do things a little bit differently here. The Auburn Family live stream nights, it's not our biggest crowds. Some nights they are, but obviously tonight's one of those lower nights, but I enjoy this informal format. And that's why we keep doing it, because it's an easy way for us just to have a place to connect. All right, we're going to go ahead and close down the phone lines. I'll take some more comments and questions here as we kind of move towards the end of our show. Let's see here. My biggest worry is weird. It's Georgia and Mike White. Well, yeah, I can understand that. Mike White didn't have the success I think a lot of people expected him to have at Florida. But I think he's still a pretty good coach. For whatever reason, he's got Bruce's number. So there's that. Let's see here. I would just go LSU as well. We drop one of those two, hopefully not both. Yeah. It's that, Alabama, Tennessee. There's some people out there that can definitely beat us. Let me poll the room here. So I'll pull the curtain back for you guys. So there's going to be a week coming up where I will be on vacation, and we're a ways from it still, but it's coming up sooner than you think. I'll just tell you, it's the end of the month. So I would like to still, if I can get around to it, have some videos prepared for you guys to watch, especially on those morning hours, like 8:30. So they wouldn't be live streams, but we would do what's called a premiere, and you could watch it live together and on the replay. What are some topics that you guys would like for me that are, I want to call them evergreen, but they kind of are, meaning I could kind of put them in the can, get them ready, and then have them play for you while I'm gone. So that way you have content while I'm gone. Because one of the biggest things I've seen on the YouTube side of things is if I am gone, obviously the channel kind of slopes off a little bit for a little while. And that's understandable, but I want to provide you guys some stuff if you need it. So if there's some topics that you guys would like me to hit that you would find interesting that you'd watch on those on those early morning 8:30 live streams, let me know. Let's see here. Don't forget about Buzz Williams. Well, I wasn't forgetting about him, but that's a great point. Yes. Southern Sports Daily, or Dusty, says he's worried about the LSU guards too. We ruined our 2019 home win streak. He did. Yes, he did. He certainly did that. Buzz Williams is a good coach. I think he is starting to fall in to the Mike White at Florida category for me, where he is just good enough, but it's just not getting up there. I remember when Texas A&M, they came to town, you were like, oh, we ain't getting this win. That was early on with them joining the SEC with us, but times do change. I will tell you this. We are short order from probably a group of 2 and 3 teams being regular problems in the SEC, from the SEC being considered in the same conversation with the ACC, the Big Ten, somewhat to some degree, the Big 12. And that'll change, obviously. When Texas and Oklahoma get here, boy howdy, because that's really what's going to change it. Because right now, as things stand, if they stayed the same, you've got Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, and then Alabama kind of coming in and out as they always have. Then you throw in the mix Oklahoma, you throw in the mix Texas, Florida, if they get back to where they're capable of being under Todd Golden. Let's say Texas A&M continues improving. That's wow. We would match up really nicely with the Big Ten, which is what I think we're starting the SEC Big Ten Challenge soon, or the ACC Challenge. I'm sorry, is what it's going to be then. Buzz is annoying. Yeah. I know he has some annoying tendencies, but I think he's a good coach. Not only each video, but also share your fave videos. 4K coming. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Share your fave videos. You want me to share them in a video? Is that what you're talking about? I'm misunderstanding that, Rob. 4K. I don't have the equipment for 4K. Well, I say that these things these days do basically 4K. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just not the biggest believer in the 4K thing. I've seen it. I think it looks cool, but to me, it creates bigger files that are more of a hassle to work with for my level of production right now. But again, as I've always said, if that'll make the difference for all of you, you never know what you can force me to do. I am your puppet. You are the puppet masters. Let's be honest, Devin, it needed to get over a little quicker for us. Oh, 4K subs. Gotcha. Sorry. That's what I thought he was talking about. 4K like cameras and stuff. Sorry. That was completely. Yes. Getting close to 4K. So that goal for that giveaway is at 5,000, but we are marching towards 4,000. You know, I'd like to set a goal of us reaching 4,000 by the end of January. I think that's a little lofty. But I personally would be great is by the end of March Madness, if we are hitting 5,000 subscribers, that would just be the best thing ever. Really the best thing ever. Would love to do that. Yeah. So sorry, I misunderstood that. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Good to be back in the saddle with you. Keep this in mind throughout the the winter right now, mainly during basketball season. We will have our regularly scheduled Wednesday night shows unless a basketball game directly conflicts with it, meaning it starts at 7 Eastern time or 8 Eastern time. There's no point in us doing it. We'll just do the post-game shows. But like next week, I think it's at 9 again. So we'll just do our Auburn Family live stream. I'll go watch the game, and then we'll jump back on 2 hours later for a post-game live stream. So that is how that will work. Happy to see you guys again. A lot of our familiar faces. Always happy to be here on Wednesday nights. And you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. And I appreciate you so much. Smash that like button on the way out. Till I talk to you again, maybe even tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern time or 8.